Well, ladies and gentlemen, talk about a massive plot twist in a story like this one. You guys have probably been following my videos for a while now, as we've been talking about the former developers that are getting sued, or suing, I should say, Krafton, because, well, the happenings of Subnautica 2 were not exactly in their favor. You guys know of the three original developers and the leadership. They were basically accused of abandoning their post and abandoning everything and essentially wasting their time and trying to release this game early in order to get a payday. Well, they sued Krafton over it, and Krafton and those three developers are currently in a legal lawsuit. However, now we have a surprise challenger in this lawsuit, and this is not something that I saw coming. I don't think anybody saw this coming. So what am I talking about? Well, apparently, Subnautica 2 developer Unknown Worlds is actually suing the former leadership that is suing Krafton. Let me repeat that for the people who are a little bit slow, including myself. So, we have a lawsuit that is featuring the three original developers and leadership people of Subnautica 2 and the Subnautica franchise as a whole. They are suing Krafton under the assumption that Krafton purposefully delayed the game from early access to prevent paying out these three developers. So, they're suing Krafton. Now, those three developers that are suing Krafton are now being sued by the company that they worked for, which is Unknown World. This is absolutely insane. I honestly, I could not even make this shit up if I tried. Now we have a literal gangbang happening. It's a three-way lawsuit that's happening between Unknown Worlds suing the three developers, and then the three developers suing Krafton. Talk about a literal sandwich. So we need to talk about this. We need to go over the claims. We need to go over everything, because it is wild that this story has taken a turn for this, particular direction. I'm honestly shocked by this, but in any case, Unknown Worlds, the studio behind the Subnautica franchise, has filed a lawsuit against three of its former leaders, accusing them of the same thing, ironically, that Krafton is accusing them of. So now you got Krafton accusing the three former leaders, and also Unknown Worlds accusing them for the same exact thing. But in any case, they have filed a lawsuit against three of its former leaders, accusing them of abandoning the company, misappropriating confidential data, and scheming to rush Subnautica 2 to market in order to secure a massive payout. The suit, which was filed on August 15th, targets studio co-founders Charlie Cleveland, Adam Max McGuire, and along with former CEO Ted Gill, all of whom were fired on July 1st, 2025. And according to the complaint, the trio largely abandoned their duties as Subnautica 2's creative and technical leads, while simultaneously downloading tens of thousands of company files in the days before their termination. This dispute traces back to Krafton's 2021 acquisition of Unknown Worlds for $500 million, with an additional $250 million earnout tied to the successful development and release of Subnautica 2. Cleveland, McGuire, and Gill, described at the time as essential to the franchise's future, stood to collect roughly 90% of that $250 million earnout. But instead of staying engaged, Unknown World claims Cleveland shift to filmmaking, McGuire focused on his passion project Moonbreaker, and Gill allowed the studio to drift without oversight. Development of Subnautica 2 slipped years behind schedule, with Krafton reviews describing the 2025 build as unready and lacking core gameplay. But by 2025, with the earnout deadline approaching, the lawsuit says that the three executives pressed Krafton to release Subnautica 2 in an unfinished state, despite internal and external feedback that the game could damage the franchise. When Krafton refused, they allegedly threatened to self-publish the game to capture revenue for the earnout window. Now, this is really juicy. This is some insane shit. Can you imagine if they actually self-published the game? That would be wild. That would be a breach of all kinds of contracts, I'm sure. But this is why I keep telling you guys, man, the rabbit hole goes deep with this particular situation, because now we have two companies that are involved, suing or partially involved in a lawsuit with these three people. This is going to be a very long and drawn out process between all of them. But anyway, Unknown Worlds also accuses the trio, and this is the big one. This is different from what Krafton was talking about. Accuses the trio of taking company secrets on their way out the door. That is a big no-no. Between the start of June and July 1st, 2025, McGuire allegedly downloaded nearly 100,000 files, Cleveland about 72,000 files, and Gill exported his entire company email account. The studio says that the three refused to return their devices or confirm what information they retained, and even threatened to delete all of the files entirely. Guys, this is wild. This is wild. This is why there's just so much more to this than I think any of us even realize. And I understand there's people out there that like to shill for one side or the other. I had people in my comments saying, "Oh my God, how could you defend Krafton?" I wasn't. I was just saying that their response was a really good response in the legal letter. I didn't say they were right. I didn't say they were wrong. I just said it was a damn good response. Just like I said that the three executives and their initial lawsuit was a pretty good first impression when it came to their wording and how they set up their lawsuit. So overall, everything is together looking pretty damn proper. And now you got Unknown Worlds joining the fray and suing the three developers. So this shit is about to get crazy more than it ever was, especially if they were stealing files and threatening to delete all the files. I mean, holy shit. If that is true, I can only imagine what would happen to them. But anyway, Unknown World is seeking injunctions, the return of confidential data, and monetary damages for the delays, brand harm, and breach of duty it says the defendants caused. It also wants to prevent any further use or disclosure of its files. Meanwhile, Cleveland, McGuire, and Gill, through Fortis Advisors, which represents former shareholders, have filed their own lawsuit against Krafton, seeking to be reinstated and to force payment of the earnout. That case is headed for an expedited trial in November. You know, I really wonder how all of this is going to work out, because if they are seeking to be reinstated, why the hell would you want to work for a company that you had to sue? Like, I never understood that. Why would you want to even go back there? Do you think you're going to be treated fairly? Do you think that people are going to look at you like, "Hey, welcome back, bud"? No, that's not going to happen. I would not even bother throwing that into the lawsuit. I feel like that's a really stupid move, unless you are trying to be reinstated as the sole owners of Subnautica, the franchise. Then perhaps we can talk about that. But if it's like really reinstated to get your job back, I think that's insane. But in any case, fan reactions to the firings has largely sided with the company. On Reddit, one user summed up the prevailing mood: "This is defending the game, not the executives, because those three were literally not involved in it in any way." In a lawsuit filed on August 15, Unknown Worlds is suing co-founders Charlie Cleveland and Max McGuire, along with former CEO Ted Gill, for abandoning their roles at the studio after the acquisition by Krafton. And this lawsuit is in addition to the others that are involving Krafton and the former leadership. And as of publishing, none of the accused parties have publicly responded to the lawsuit at all. So we are going to see what is going to come of this. This is a massive developing story that continues to get crazier and crazier and crazier. We started off with one lawsuit. We now have two. I can only imagine how we're going to end up by the end of all of this. So you can let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about this? Did you see this coming? Did you see Unknown Worlds suing the three developers coming? I didn't see it coming at all, to be honest with you. But whatever it may be, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you enjoyed it, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And I'll see you guys on the next one.